Now, when Julia Gillard and Kevin Rudd met up for the first time since the leadership coup, it was all smiles for the cameras, but there was clearly just a little bit of tension in the room. So, what does their body language really tell us? And joining us now from Melbourne is the human lie detector, Steve Van Apperen. Good morning to you, Steve. What were you reading into that meeting yesterday?
Yeah, look, from what I saw, there was a lot of tension. You don't have to be an expert in body language to see that. But typically, one of the things I teach people is to look for conflict or contradiction between what a person says and what their body language in fact tells us. There was a very little eye contact. There's no alignment between the two of them. I think at one stage, Gillard looked over at Rudd. It certainly wasn't reciprocated because obviously they were paying attention to the person who was talking. But you could cut the tension in that room with a chainsaw.
Well, of course, one of the things about this relationship, which is now so bizarre, because they were great mates, they were allies, they were very successful together, and of course one of them now feels very much betrayed by the other and has been brought back into the fold, but has all the power in the relationship, even as the defeated party. It's just the weirdest setup. How do you see that portrayed in their body language?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's no acknowledgement between the two of them, and you're right in what you say. They had a very close working relationship at one time, and it's important to note that often when people feel comfortable in each other's presence, there's usually good alignment, there's touching, there's smiles, there's... research shows us when we are thinking about a particular emotion, it will often express itself in a micro-expression, which is usually 1/25 of a second, and from that expression we can see all sorts of things like fear, joy, contempt, resentment and so on. They weren't even doing that. It was almost like they were just going through the motions, and part of the process was just sitting there answering questions, but they could have been complete strangers having never met each other in that environment.
Yeah, they looked, we said it earlier, they looked a little bit like the couple that has lost love for each other, and they're just sitting there silently in the restaurant chewing over, you know, their food. I guess they do both have a lot to chew over in terms of their history. Looking at them as individuals, who do you see as being the most comfortable with their present situation?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have been following that, and historically, through the time, we're often attracted to people who can portray strength, character, confidence, motivation and whatnot. And I look at both of them and I don't see a lot of that, to be honest. A lot of things I look for is blocking gestures or masking gestures or containment gestures. Often when you see them answering questions, when people feel uncomfortable, there'll be hand to face, eye blocking gestures and so on. So, to be honest, neither of them look all that comfortable, and admittedly it's their first time insofar as the campaigning process in their current roles. But I don't see a lot of confidence and very stage managed, very stilted behaviours. I think I'd love an hour with each of them to teach them how to really portray a great deal of confidence, but I don't see confidence in either of them at this stage.
All right, it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. There's only 2 weeks of this left. Thank you very much, Steve. Very enjoyable chat this morning. Back to you, Ali.
Thanks, Kat.